Welcome to Brain Vision.
Chapter 1, Section 3, Problem 12. The recommended daily allowance of trace metal magnesium is 410 milligrams per day. For males, and the question asks us, express this quantity in micrograms per day. So the first thing to recognize is this is just a unit conversion problem. And so they want us to go from the basic unit that we need to change is milligrams to micrograms. So this is a mu. You're written like this. Okay. And so one way that we can go about is to recognize that for 1 gram, we have 1,000 milligrams. And in 1 gram, there's also 10 to the 6, or 1 million micrograms. And so when we want to do a unit conversion right here, we realize that there are actually 1,000 micrograms in a milligram. We could get this by taking this quantity and divide it by 1,000 on both sides. And so you lose 3 zeros here, 3 zeros here, and that would be 10 to the 3, which is 1,000. So 1,000 micrograms is 1 milligram. And so we go 410 milligrams a day. And so when we're converting units, we just multiply by 1. And so in this case, we have our quantity here. And so we want mg on the bottom, so we divide both sides by milligrams. And we get this is equal to 1. And so, as mentioned, mg on the bottom, 1 milligram, and we have 1,000 micrograms on top. And so we cancel out these. So that equals 1. Milligram over milligrams equal to 1. And we're left with microgram per day. And so our answer is going to be 410,000 micrograms per day. So this is for part A. And so for part B, this is for adults. The recommended daily allowance of the amino acid lysine is 12 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Let's abbreviate 1 kilogram of body weight. So this is just a general unit we have right now. And then it says, how many grams per day should a 75 kilogram adult receive? So we want to find out our quantity X grams per 75 kilogram body weight. Okay, and so what we could actually do for this problem is we're going to need to change this mg to g, and then this bottom part, this might seem a little weird, but we're actually going to need this to be 75 kilograms body weight instead of just 1. And so we'll begin with milligram conversion. So we start off with a quantity here. And so we want mg to be on the bottom. And so we know for every gram, we have 1,000 milligrams. And then what we want to do is, remember, we can only multiply by 1. And so how do we get the 75 here when we only have 1? Well, you basically multiply top and bottom by just 75. So these units cancel out, and we're left with 12 times 75 grams . 1,000, and this is 75 kilograms body weight. And so this quantity is 900, and so we're actually left with 900 over 1,000 is 0.9 grams for a 75 kilogram body weight. And so that's how many grams a 75 kilogram adult should receive. Okay, part C. It says a typical multivitamin tablet can contain 2.0 milligrams of vitamin B, 2 riboflavin. So we know for every tablet, we have that much tablet. Okay, and it says the recommended daily allowance 0.003 grams per day. And so the question asks, how many tablets should a person take a day to get the proper amount of this vitamin if he gets them from other sources? So what we want to find out is how many tablets per day are needed. Okay, and so you can see from all of our units right here, we basically have grams per day, and then we have milligrams and tablets. And so this is a quantity we want to find out. So this is what we need in the end to solve with. This is what we need in our bodies. Grams a day. One thing to recognize is we want the units of tablets to cancel out here. We have milligrams per day, so it's a unit of mass per time unit. And so these would be the ones we'd actually be multiplying. And so we have 2 milligrams for every tablet times how many of these tablets we need in a day. If you're actually able to see right away that you could have started off dividing the units, then you probably could have actually just had this quantity divided by this quantity, and you would have gotten the proper units. Okay, so we see that tablets cancel out over here, and we have units of mass over time, but the mass units don't match up yet. And so we want milligrams on the bottom, and we know for every gram we have 1,000 milligrams. And so milligrams cancel out. And then we're left with 0.003 grams per day. This is equal to 2 divided by 1,000, which is 0.002 grams per day times x, which this is equal to the number of tablets we want every day. So we divide both sides by 0.002 grams per day. This goes to 1. This quantity gives us 1.5. And so remember, x was the number of tablets per day, and so we recommended number of tablets per day in order to get 0.003 grams per day of our vitamin. We need to have 1.5 tablets per day. Okay, so part D. So the recommended daily allowance for trace elements selenium is 0.00007. There's quite a bit of zeros on this one, so you got to be careful to keep track. So it's grams per day of the selenium. And so what it asks us to express this dosage in is simply milligrams per day. So this is a simple unit conversion. And so we begin with our 0.00007 grams per day. And we want to convert them to milligrams per day. And so we could do this by dividing by 1. And so in this case, we want milligrams on top. So we have 1,000 milligrams per 1 gram. So grams cancel out, and you multiply this by 3 zeros. So the way you do this is you hop over 1, 2, 3. So that's where your new point would be. So it's going to be equal to 0.10 milligrams per day for allowed selenium.